Ram Sarvebhyah Hritpurvaka Namaskaraha. Swagatam. Welcome to class 13 of Pravesha Pariksha Sajjata Vargaha, preparatory course for level 1 of Pravesha of Samskrita Bharati. So as usual, let us begin with Guru Vandanam and Dhyana Shlokaha. Gurureva gatir gurumeva bhaje Gurunaiva sahasmi namo gurave Na guru paramam shishurasmi guroho Matirasti gurau mama pahi guru Bravimi samskritam vacha Dhyayami samskritam hrida Kurve sevanchakayena Vande samskrita mataram Yonaras samskrita vyomnihyalayam Ramate muda Samskritim chaiva samskaram Vindate natra samshayah. Welcome once again to all of you. So, before we begin the lessons, a few announcements which I've already made in the previous class but want to share for those who, in case you've missed. So any doubts regarding procuring the textbooks or registration for the course, you have the email IDs displayed on the screen. Please write to them because Samskrita Bharati will be handling the registration for the Pravesha course and Samskrita Bharati will be giving you the textbooks. So anything related to the textbooks, exams, etc., please contact them. Also, another announcement, new announcement for today is the registration form for those staying in countries where you don't have a branch of Samskrita Bharati. That registration form link is shared in today's chat message. Please look at the first chat message, all of you, which I have sent you, saying registration form for foreign registrants. Please download that form and you have all the details there, including the account number, IFSC code, etc. So you can make the payment and register by filling up that form and sending it to them. And they will arrange for sending you the textbooks. And I think I received a few messages that in a few countries, they are not able to send the textbook. I'm not sure why that's the case, but if that is the case, please write to them and ascertain from them if they are able to send it to you, to your country. But if you're unable to get it, if they are unable to send it to you to that country, then I think you will have to make any other alternative arrangement. As in, if you have anyone visiting India, then maybe request them, or visiting any other country where it is available, maybe request Samskrita Bharati to send it to them and you can take it from them. So you might have to make any other arrangement if Samskrita Bharati is not able to send it by post or courier to your to the country where you stay. Okay, so with that, let us begin with the lessons. So we have started Samyuktaksharani or Samyuktaksharani, conjunct consonants, and where we have more than one vyanjana combining. And like we studied in the last class, which was 2 weeks ago, there are different types of representing these conjunct consonants, and this representation is purely for our ease of learning. So whatever we have made these categories, the 5 categories we are showing you, is just to ease your learning. It is not grammatically we have these 5 categories, but as you progress reading Sanskrit words and writing, you will become familiar with how these have to be represented. And you're also having a vigorous exercise session, which is very good, where you're learning and getting more familiar with these conjunct consonants. So we have completed learning the first 4 types, and we will learn the 5th type today. Then we will move on to what is a word, padam, and we will move on to learning about nouns, that is Namapadam. So let us begin with the first type. So we learned the first type, and this we already know. Vyanjanam plus Vyanjanam gives you a Samyuktaksharam. So example, Satyam, Shna, Krishnaha. So please see how that is represented. If you look at the first column, that gives you the component letters. The second column gives you how it is represented. And the third column gives you the word, an example, right? So in these examples on the screen, Sankhya, Pucham, Jyotihi, Dhyanam, Vandana, Sapta, Amba, Shenaha, Pustakam, Vyagraha. See what is happening. For example, in the first one, K plus Ya, the vertical line in K is disappearing and it is merging. K is merging with Ya. So these are some ways of representing Samyuktaksharam. Similarly, in Cha, the second one, the vertical line of Alpaprana Ch is disappearing and it is merging with the Mahaprana Cha. So this is one way. You can just have a look at these. The second type is where one Vyanjanam sits below the other one. So, Nka, Nja, in the word Vyanjanam, Nja. Please note this carefully. Nja, what is on the screen, is Cha, Cha, Ja, Ja, Nya, Nya plus Ja. So it is very important to note which Vyanjanam is coming first. And this we will learn more about it in the later part of today's class. So in the word Vyanjanam, it is a Nya which is coming first, combining with Ja. When it is the other way around, it is a different Samyuktaksharam, when Ja comes first. We will learn that today in type 5. So these are some examples. Kukkuraha, Sayankalaha, Angam, Attaha, Khadgaha. So see how the Vyanjanam is sitting below the other Vyanjanam. Agnihi, Panjaram, Annam, Mallaha, Uchaha. This is the second type. The third type we learned, it's not sitting exactly below. There is a slight change in the way it is represented. It could be sitting below, but in an angular way, etc. This is the type 3. For example, dha, udharet, in that word, d plus dha. So the Mahaprana dha is represented in a slightly angular fashion below the Alpaprana dha. And dma, dbha. See how dha is represented here. And this, I told you, we pronounce it as nha, like vanhihi. We don't say bahnihi. It is vanhihi. N is pronounced first. This is an exception whenever ha combines with the anunasika aksharas. That is nganya nanama. So when ha combines with these, the ha is pronounced second, not first. So this, though it is written as hna, we pronounce it as nha. So vanhihi, chinham, and brahma, another very, very famous and very important word. We do not say Brahma, we say Brahma. There are many reasons for this. One is parampara is one reason. Even in the Vedas, a lot of scholars, Vedic scholars, pronounce it like this. Also, there is something called an aurasya effect, meaning that when ha combines with the anunasikas, the nada or the tone should come from the chest and not from any other part. So that happens only when we pronounce it as Brahma, Vanhihi. I keep saying this, we also have a video in our Suprabhatam course, Dr. Soumya Krishnapur's. You'll find it if you search it on YouTube, on Vyoma's YouTube channel. Do you have more in detail why this is pronounced in this way? This is an exception where we pronounce it differently from what it is written. So some more examples. Vriddhaha, Dve, Udbhataha. Please note how the Samyuktaksharam is represented. Padmam, Purvanhaha. Here also the N is pronounced first, not the Ha. So Purvanhaha. And Madhyanhaha. So all these, her combining with any of the anunasikas. Jihva, Brahma, Hyah, Prahladah. And there was a question last class. Many of you asked me, is it Prahladah or Pralhadah? Similarly, is it Jihva or Jihva? So both schools are accepted. And in certain regions of India, like Maharashtra, etc., scholars tend to pronounce it as Pralhadah. They pronounce the L first, similar to Brahma. They follow the same rule there also. But in many other parts, that is not followed. It is pronounced as Prahladah. The H itself is pronounced first, like we write it. Similarly, in Jihva, in some schools, they pronounce it as Jihva, meaning the H is not pronounced so prominently. But in many other parts, it's pronounced as Jihva, the way it is written. So again, here, when her combines with ya, la, v, then in some regions, the parampara is to pronounce the her later, as in to follow the same exception as we follow for Brahma, etc. So both are acceptable as far as Prahladaha is concerned and Jihva. So in our class, we will pronounce it as Prahladaha itself. But like I said, please note, there is also a parampara where it's pronounced as Pralhadaha. That's also correct. Now, type 4, that is Rephaha, we learnt R, and when R comes before and followed by a letter, you get that horn-like symbol on top, like Arkaha. But when it is the opposite, when R comes after another Vyanjanam, it is represented as a diagonal or a stroke below the letter, or sometimes it is represented in an inverted V-like symbol. We learned that also, like Tra, for example. So this also is representation of Rephaha or the Rakara. This example of a shloka we learned, Parthaya. Parthaya, R plus Tha. So the Repha is represented like a horn above. If you see the word Parthaya, it is high. Prati, P plus Ra. Here Ra is coming second. So Prati, there is a stroke below Pa. Next line, Grathitam. Again, G plus R plus A. So Gra, R is represented below Ga. Then third line, Advaitamrita Varshinim. R plus Shi. There R is coming first. So the Repha, it is represented like a horn, like an arc on top of Shi, Varshinim. So let us come to the type 5. Now type 5 are consonants where two consonants combine and they result in a completely new letter. New letter in the sense the representation is different from both the letters, from both the constituent letters. So that is the type 5. And another distinct feature of the type 5 is you have Gunitakshara-saranihi for this also. So we can write Gunitakshara-saranihi for this. And when we write Gunitakshara-saranihi for these letters, they are written in the form of the resultant letter, not with the constituent letters. So let us see this. When I show you the examples, it will become clearer. K plus Sha is Ksha. Vakshasthalam, Ksha. Pakshma, Akshi, in all these, or Aksharam. So you have Ksha written like this. This is very important because many times we just write Ksha without knowing what are the constituent letters. And in some languages, after her in the Varnamala, Kshatragya are also included. So sometimes we have a doubt. Kshatragya, are they Varnas or are they conjunct Samyuktaksharas? The answer is we should be very clear. Ksha, Nya, and a few others are Samyuktaksharani. They are conjunct consonants. They are not individual letters like Yara, Lava. And also, K plus sha. We should know which sha is this. And it is not Shankara or Shiva sha. It is Shanmukha, that Murdhanya sha, like we say. Shanmukha, that sha. Very important because certain rules of chanting, for example, whenever visarga is followed by ksha in chanting, the visarga should be chanted completely. For example, so visarga, dhritihi, in that word, dhritihi, if it is followed by a word like kshama. So in Gita, we have a verse in the 12th chapter, Adveshta sarvabhutanam maitrah karuna evacha nirmamo nirahankaraha sama dukkha sukhaha kshami. There it is kshami. So sama dukkha sukhaha visarga followed by ksha. There the visarga is chanted completely. This is an exception. We know we learned jihva muliya, where visarga followed by ka or kha is chanted in half. Antah karanam. You get that visarga, jihva muliya sound, h sound. But whenever it is followed by the Samyuktaksharam ksha, it is chanted completely. Another example, smritir medha dhritihi kshama. In that shloka also from the Gita again, dhritihi kshama. So there again, visarga followed by ksha, visarga is chanted completely. So this we need to be clear. And second rule regarding this letter ksha is, it is never written like this. It is never written in this way. It is wrong. We have many Samyuktaksharas in Sanskrit where you have more than one way of representing, and I will give you a few examples on the screen going further. In those, it is okay for us to represent in either way. We have more than one way of writing, which is correct. But for this letter, we never write ksha like this. It is always written only like this, like ksha, what you see on the screen here. This is the correct way of representing. This is wrong. That is another thing we need to keep in mind. Also, when we learn rules of sandhi going further in your classes, where you'll be learning rules of combining letters, then you should know what are the constituent letters to know how each rule applies. For example, when they say mridu vyanjanani, karkasha vyanjanani, we should know what they are. So it is very important to know what this letter ksha is. I hope it's very clear now to all of you. And please note that it is never written in this way, always in this way only. So this is the Prabheda 5. Like I said, the Gunitakshara Saranihi for this letter would be like we see on the screen. Ksha, ksha, kshi, kshi, kshu, kshu, kshri, kshri, kshkl, kshe, kshai, ksho, kshau, ksham, kshaha. So the entire Gunitakshara Saranihi is written in this particular way. So this is the fifth type. Again, the types we have classified for our ease of learning to show you the difference between the different kinds of representation. Certain other letters which also look slightly different. Ta, k plus t plus a. That is this ta. So in some fonts and some people write ta like that. It is also okay to write it this way. This is also right. Like suktihi. When you write, this kta is also right. Or in this way. Both are right. Next. Ksha we already learned. Nya. So nya in words like jnanam. Very important again. So there is a very common question. How do we pronounce it? Is it gna? It is not gna. So when we say gna, like in agnihi, this is what it is. When we say gna, it is g plus na. But this is pronounced as gnya. Gnya. What are the constituent letters? We will see in the next slide. What are the constituent letters? It is J plus Ny. I'll show you in the next slide also, but just for now, this gives us Gnya. Okay, so please note that these are which are the constituent letters of Gnya, and similarly, Gnya, 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 Gni, Gni, Gnu, Gnu, we can have the Gunitaksharasarani for that as well. Then Ta, that is T plus A. So Ta, you see the Ta is represented with a line above, or you can also write it like this. This is also correct, where you have two T's being represented. One T without the line and then T. Or like this, with this horizontal line above the T. So here we see that the letter is completely changing, like this horizontal line. It is representing T there. The next letter, Tra. Again, like Netram, Trayi. In these, it is T plus R plus A. Tra, tra, tri, tri, tru, tru. We can have the Gunitaksharasarani for that as well. Then this is D plus A. So when D plus D combine, this is how it is represented. Please see, it is a different letter altogether. Dya. This is also important, like Vidya. It is D, the Alpa Prana D plus Ya, not Dhya. Like in Madhyamam, if you say, in Mahaprana Dha, it is represented like this. Dhya or Dhyanam. But here what we are seeing in this letter is D plus Ya. Alpa Prana D plus Ya is represented in this way. This is very important again. A lot of them have a doubt. Is it Vidya or Vidya? It is Vidya, Alpa Prana, not Mahaprana. And we write that letter also. How do we write that word in that letter? We write it in this way. So once you see these letters, it should be clear what letter it is. This is how we write the word Vidya. Some of you might be very familiar with these, but like I said, we have a mixed class. Some are very new to Sanskrit, so we will have to go through this. This is Shra, Sh plus Ra. The first Sh, like Shivaha, Shanmukha, the first Sh plus Ra gives Shra. When you write Shrihi or Shriniketanaha, Shrishaha, this is the Shra we write. Again, we have Shra, Shra, Shri, Shri, the Gunitaksharasarani for it. Shva, like Shvaha. This again is Sh plus A, the same Sh in both. The first Sh, Shvaha means tomorrow. Then Sh, very important, Ashcharyam, Madhyamashcha. In those, it is Sh plus Cha. So it should be pronounced as Shcha and not as Cha. Very often the tendency is to pronounce it as Sa. Like for example, when we say Ashcharyam, there is a tendency to pronounce it as Ascharyam. Ascharyam. That is wrong. It is not S plus Cha. It is Sh plus Cha. So we should know the constituent letters clearly so that we pronounce them accurately. Now it will become clearer on this slide for you. Nya, like I said, is J plus Ny plus A. I will spotlight it. Like when we say Jnanam, this Gnya, the first letter is J, the second letter is Nya, that is Cha, Cha, Jha, Janya, the Anunasikaksharam. But when we say Vyanjanam, Panjaram, the same two constituent letters, but there Nya is coming first and J is coming second. This distinction you must note, because we have the same letters in both, but based on what letter comes first, the representation is different. So when J plus Nya is the combination, we get this letter Nya, like Jnanam. When Nya plus J is the combination, we get this letter Nja, like Vyanjanam, Panjaram. Tra, I told you, T plus R plus A. Da, D plus D plus A. Dya, D plus U plus A. Dhya would be dh plus u plus ya, a, and this is how it is represented. This is a common mistake, like we tend to confuse this for dhya. This dhya is alpa prana. Shra, sh plus r plus a. Sh should be pronounced accurately. Sh plus ch plus a. And shva is sh plus v plus a. So I hope this is clear to all of you. Before moving on to the new lesson, I will just answer one question because it is relevant to this chapter. Tejas G, what is Gunitaksharasaranihi? Gunitaksharasaranihi is what I showed you on the previous slide here. This line or chain of Gunitaksharas, what we have already learned. Like we learned kaka, kiki, kuku, krikri, klke, kai, ko, kau, kam, kaha. And we also learned that all the Vyanjanas will have all these. Some letters may not be used, but all the Vyanjanas have this Gunitaksara Saranihi, meaning each Vyanjanam combines with the Swara, and you get this entire sequence. So this sequence of vowels and consonants is called Gunitaksara Saranihi. So I hope this is clear. And Visarga followed by Ksha. The Visarga is pronounced completely. I already explained that. Now, Samyuktaksharani, some of them have more than one correct way of representing. These are some examples. K plus Ka. It could either be written below the Ka or next to the Ka, like Kukkutaha. Please see this. Kta, I already showed you. Shaktihi. Please note, look at the third column and you will know that both the representations are correct. Gna, Magnaha. Please see the two ways of representing. You should be very careful if you decide to represent it in the first way like this, because the na should be written clearly. Otherwise, it will look like ra, like retha. So this loop here should be visible clearly of the na. If you forget to put that loop here, then it will look like just a stroke, just a diagonal. So it could be confused with retha. So this should be, the na should be represented clearly with this loop, this hole here. Or you can write it in the other way also. Ghna, vignaha. Again, see, there are two ways of representing. Ch plus cha, ch uchchaihi. And ja, kajjalam. Here again, either next to the letter or below the letter. Chanchalaha. Anya plus cha, again, two ways of representing. Nja, anjaneyaha, like vyanjaram, panjaram, vyanjanam, panjaram, anjaneya. All these words have the same Samyuktaksharam. You can represent it either below or next to the letter. Similarly, for li plus la, praphullaha. Shna, ashnati. Again, two ways of representing. Here again, when you think of representing, if you want to represent in the first way like this, this should be very clear. This loop below should be very clear. Because if that loop is not there, it will become shra. So let me show you on the screen. So this is shra, right? We just learned like shrihi. So how is it when it is shna? It is like this. And then you should show it with this loop. This is very important. If you forget that loop, then it would be similar to shra. That would be wrong. So this, you see, it looks like na. Whereas this line without the loop would be sha. Without the loop would be shra. Shcha, ashcharyam. Both ways of representing are correct. Either sha in this way or shcha in this way. Both are right. Similarly, shvaha, vishvam, shvaha in these words. The sh could be represented in both the ways. Both are correct. So I hope this is clear. Differentiate between stra and sra. The question, Hemaji, how to differentiate between stra and sra. So stra, that is, will be written like this. This is stra, like in the word stri. Whereas when it is only sra, it would be only one line here. I hope this is clear. So you only have one line here in sra. In stra, you're writing s and you're writing this. This stra is written very clearly in. See, this stra is seen very clearly here. That is how stra is written. Sra, we only have this line representing repha below. There is no tra letter there at all. It is sra, s plus ra. Only this line is there. This tra is not there at all. So that is the difference. All these are very pertinent doubts, very good doubts. We will get to learn them later. Okay, these are some examples. Chandraha. These examples are to show you the Samyuktaksharani. Chandraha, please note n and dra, the Samyuktaksharam here. Matsyaha, Ushtraha, Pakshma, Yantram, Ushtraha, t and that repha below. Now, I think with your exercise classes, most of you must be clear with the splitting of letters, pada vibhagaha, in each letter. Samskritam, s plus plus s plus k plus r plus t plus a plus m. We will not go into it this class because I know all of you are doing a lot of this in your exercise classes. So I will just give you one or two examples and we will move to the next lesson. Samyuktaksharam. S plus plus y plus u plus k plus t plus a plus k plus sh plus a plus r plus a plus m. It's very important. You will going further, you will appreciate in grammar why we need to be very clear about the constituent letters of each word. Let us come to the next lesson. Padam, word. So we all know, like in any other language, a word is a meaningful group of letters. So when you just have letters at random, like TYE or something like that, when a group of letters has no meaning, it is not a word. But when a group of letters combine to have a meaning, that is called a word. It is called padam in Sanskritam, singular. Padani would be plural, words. So the definition, varnanam arthavan samuhaha padam. Varnanam sarve jananti idanim. Varnamala ka aksharam ityukte kim iti sarve jananti. We all know what is varnamala. We know what is a varna. We know what is aksharam. Varnanam arthavan samuhaha. Arthavan, meaningful. Samuhaha nama varga, or a group of meaningful letters is called padam. Examples, Ramaha, Sita, Gachati. Gachati means goes. Vishnuhu, it's a noun. Ramaha, Sita also proper nouns. Namami means salute. When you say I salute, then we use namami. It's a verb. Namapadam or subantam. So noun we all know is a name, place, animal or a thing. It is called Namapadam in Sanskrit. It is also called Subantam. Why is it called Subantam? Every noun ends with what we call as a sup pratyaya. More on that later. For now, like we are doing the introductory grammar classes. So we will keep it to the basics. Sup pratyaya. Pratyaya means it is a here sup pratyaya would be a suffix. It is added after the root. So when you have a root, for example, Rama is the root. It is called a pratipadikam. We will revisit all this in the lessons. So Rama is the root, which is pratipadikam. When a sup pratyaya gets added to the root called Rama, we get Ramaha. So that is the first case of the word Rama. So because all Namapadas end with a sup pratyaya, antam means end. So the word which ends with a sup pratyaya is also a Namapadam or a noun. So these two are synonyms. So a noun can be either called as Namapadam or a Subantam. Let us learn some nouns. So we all know that nouns are of three kinds. Pullingam, that is masculine. Strilingam, feminine. Napumsakalingam, neuter gender. So lingam means gender in Sanskrit. So linganam parichayaha, introduction to the three kinds of genders in Sanskrit. Pullingam, masculine. Strilingam, feminine. Napumsakalingam, neuter gender. Idanim atra pashyantu balaha, boy. Hastaha, hand. Vrikshaha, tree. Sarpaha, snake. Etani sarvani namapadani eva. All these are nouns. So all these words, they are ending with a visarga, but it's not a universal rule that all Pullinga words must necessarily end with a visarga, and they sound only in this way. There could be other exceptions to this, but we are getting familiar with the commonly used words. And commonly used words in Pullinga, some of them on the screen, they sound like this. They end with a visarga. If you see, some are ending with aha, like Ramaha, Krishnaha, Suryaha. Some are ending with ihi, like Harihi. And some are also ending with ukara, like Guruhu, Shambhuhu. Right? So just you can just get familiar with this now. We will later learn the forms, the tables or shabdas in later lessons. Then you will understand more grammatically. Idanim strilinga shabdaha, feminine words. Balika, dirgha. Shikshika, teacher. Lata, creeper. Shala, school. Akaranta, strilingaha. Kimartham akaranta, tatra ante, padasya ante, a iti asti. Balika iti atra padam asti. Ka iti yadi svikurmaha, k plus a iti bhavati. Khalu? Ata eva akara antaha. Akarantaha strilingaha. Balika iti padam. Similarly, evameva shikshika, lata, shala. Atra pashyantu ikaranta strilinga shabdaha santi atra. I iti ante pashyamaha. Lekhani, n plus i, ni iti bhavati. Atrapi dirghameva, ikaranta, i dirgham. Lekhani, pen. Prithvi, earth. Devi, goddess. Anguli, finger. And all these are ekavachanam. That is the first singular number. Mala, garland. Nari, woman. Lata, creeper. Ankani, pencil. So all are ending with a dirgha. Again, this is not a universal rule that all Strilingas will only end in a dirgha. There are some Strilinga Shabdaha which also sound similar to Pullinga Shabdaha, like Matihi, for example, is a Ikaranta Strilinga Shabda. They are exceptions, we will come to it later. But these, more or less, many Strilinga words, and like Rama, Lata, Radha, Rukmini, Sheila, all these Enari, E or A. Akaranta Strilingaha, Ikaranta Strilingaha, Idanim Pashyamaha. Mahila, Nadi. Tula, Akaranta Strilingaha. Kupi, Ikaranta Strilingaha. Kupi ityukte bottle. Tula ityukte scale or balance. Nadi, river. Mahila, lady. Shakha, Akaranta Strilingaha. Branch. Ghati, Ikaranta Strilingaha. Clock. Balika, Akaranta Strilingaha. Girl. Darbi, ladle or a spoon. Ikaranta Strilingaha. Amba ityukte Mata, Janani, mother. Sammarjani, Ikaranta Strilingaha. Sammarjani ityukte broom. Idanim Napumsakalinga Padan Pashyamaha. Netram, eye. Pustakam, book. Kamalam, lotus. Phalam, mango. So here, it is ending with a halanta. Netram, pustakam, kamalam, phalam. Please note how these words are ending with m. So we do not have a swara here, right? So netram is eye, pustakam book, kamalam lotus, phalam fruit. So the end letter, the last letter is ending with a halanta, just a vyanjanam, and we don't have a swara combining there. These are words in the neuter gender. Parnam, patram, vanam. Parnam is leaf, patram vessel, vanam is forest, pushpam flower, griham is house, kamalam is lotus, nayanam is eye, jnanam is knowledge, geetam is a song, padyam is a poem, aranyam means forest, nakshatram is a star, yanam is a vehicle, mitram means friend. Please note this, mitram is friend, whereas mitraha means surya or sun. So this is very important to distinguish the linga, because sometimes if you change the linga or the gender, the entire meaning changes. Mitram means friend, and any linga, I mean, even if you're referring to a female friend, Mama Mitram Radha, when I say my friend is Radha, I wouldn't say Mitra, I won't change the gender of Mitram, because Mitram as a friend is always in Napumsakalinga in Sanskrit. But whereas when I'm referring to the sun god or Surya, that would be Mitraha. So there's a difference here. And another similar word is Kalatram. Kalatram means wife. It is an Napumsakalinga Shabda. And though wife actually is feminine gender, we do not say Kalatra. It is only Kalatram. Grammatically, the word is Napumsakalinga. Similarly, Mitram, friend, grammatically is Napumsakalinga. Friend, you could be referring to either a male or a female friend. Angam, organ. Mandiram is a temple. So these are some examples of Napumsakalinga words. It does not mean that all Napumsakalinga words only end this way. These are some very common Napumsakalinga words. But we could have many other words which end with different letters and also be Napumsakalinga. So we will come to that later. These are just the very commonly used ones. So we have three genders: Pullingam, masculine gender; Strilingam, feminine gender; Napumsakalingam, neuter gender. Examples: balakaha, sevakaha in pullinga. Balika, kapatika in strilinga. Kapatika means wardrobe or cupboard. Phalam in napumsakalinga, fruit. Pustakam means book and also napumsakalinga. So I hope this distinction is clear, and these are some more examples showing you how they are ending. Balaha, vrikshaha, hastaha in pullinga. Nauka, kunchika, churika in akaranta strilinga. Nauka is boat, kunchika is key, churika is knife. Lekhani, ikaranta strilinga words. Lekhani means pen. Kartari means scissors. Nari, a lady, ending with E. Then we have napumsakalinga words. Phalam, fruit. Pustakam, book. Vimanam, plane, ending with So note this, please. It will be easier for you when we come to the lessons. These are some more examples. Pullinga words: Chhatraha, student. Vrikshaha, tree. Devaha, God. Harihi is Hari. Guruhu, Guru. Strilingam: Amba, mother. Lata, creeper. Nadi is river. Pithika would be any table. And Shala is a school. Vanam is forest. Phalam is a fruit. Pushpam is flower. Parnam is leaf. And Pustakam is book. So we have studied all the lingas now, the different types. Then we will start with, I think we will start with Vachanam in the next class. So let us conclude today's class with Shanti Mantraha as usual, and we will learn Vachanani or numbers in the next class. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Dhanyavadaha sarvebhyah. Agami Ravivasare Punarmilamaha. We will meet next Sunday at the same time. Dhanyavadaha. You will, as usual, have a class on Saturday for exercises, just to be clear. Dhanyavadaha.